You know that uneasy feeling when the moving truck finally backs into your new driveway and you breathe in possibility, but someone else sees a problem. Meet Andre, a soft-spoken software developer who just scored the keys to a tidy townhouse in Maple Grove Estates, a community famous for manicured lawns and ironclad HOA rules. He's unloading lamps and boxes of cookbooks when Ms. Linda, self-appointed neighborhood watchdog, better known in the Facebook group as Karen, marches across the cul-de-sac, phone already recording. She doesn't greet him or offer a welcome. Instead, she fires questions. Do you live here? Are you sure you have permission? Andre tries to stay calm, but every answer seems to fuel her doubt. Within minutes, she dials 911, reporting a suspicious male trespassing. Her voice climbs an octave as she points at the house and at Andre's skin. Sirens cut through the suburban quiet before he can finish dragging his sofa to the porch. Neighbors peek through curtains. A drone of whispers rises. The patrol car rolls up, dashboards cam on, officers stepping out slow and deliberate. Andre's heart thumps, but he holds out the freshly signed lease, his homeowner's association packet, and his driver's license. Proof. This is his moving day, not a break-in. They ask Andre to wait while they walk inside to verify the address. Yet seconds later, their radios crackle with a discovery that makes Linda's smirk collapse. Whatever the cops find forces her to lower the phone and shuffle backward. With phones filming, HOA bylaws flying, and racial profiling under the microscope, one shocking find is about to rewrite neighborhood gossip and explode across social media feeds. Before the body cam footage even finishes uploading, everyone on the sidewalk realizes they underestimated the man with the moving truck. But the real jaw-dropper is still sitting in the cardboard box labeled front closet, sealed with blue painter's tape. Stick around to see the moment the officers lift the lid and Linda's phone finally drops. Because what's inside changes everything. The officer kneels by the box, his gloved hands carefully peeling back the tape. Linda takes a step forward, still holding her phone, but now her tone has changed. There's no more yelling, just quiet curiosity masked as concern. The neighbors are still watching, and phones are still recording. Andre stands off to the side, arms crossed, doing his best to stay composed. His whole move-in day has turned into a scene from a crime drama, and all because someone couldn't believe he belonged here. But here's what Linda didn't know. Andre isn't just some guy moving in. He's a decorated Air Force veteran, a cybersecurity consultant for a major tech firm and, maybe most ironic of all, a newly elected board member of this very HOA. He hadn't made any grand introductions yet. He wanted to settle in, meet people naturally, and maybe change the neighborhood's cold reputation. But that box, yeah, the one the officer is opening, was meant for his first HOA meeting. It wasn't even supposed to be unpacked until next week. Inside it? Stacks of folders, printed plans, minutes from meetings, and an unopened binder with HOA security reform proposal printed on the front. It's full of detailed notes on how to prevent incidents exactly like this. Andre had done his homework. He'd noticed the subtle issues in the neighborhood, like how complaints seemed to be filed more often against certain families, or how the welcome packets didn't always reach new residents of color. He wanted to fix that, quietly, respectfully. But none of that mattered to Linda when she saw a black man with keys and cardboard boxes. Now, the officers exchange a glance. One of them leans into his shoulder mic and mutters something that makes Linda freeze. Andre stays silent, still watching, still waiting. And the real fallout hasn't even begun. Linda stands stiff, eyes locked on the binder the officer is now flipping through. Her face shifts, less angry, more unsure, as if she's realizing she might have picked the wrong fight this time. Around her, the quiet murmurs of neighbors have turned into something heavier. A few are whispering names. Andre, Karen, HOA, like pieces of a puzzle they hadn't noticed were right in front of them. Andre's not saying much. He doesn't need to. His silence is loud. The officers haven't left, but they've stopped questioning him. Now, they're casually asking about the security plan in the binder, making small talk like he's an old friend, not a suspect. Linda hears this, and her face flushes. Because just an hour ago, she was sure she was protecting the neighborhood. Now it feels more like she was exposed. What she didn't count on was that Andre already knew about her. See? Andre had joined a few of the local community forums before he even closed on the house. He'd read the comments. He saw how Linda had a history, how she flagged complaints on people's lawns only after certain families moved in, how she accidentally reported kids playing basketball as being too loud on weekends. None of it was ever direct, but it was enough to paint a picture. Still, Andre gave the benefit of the doubt. He always did. What's brewing now isn't just a clash between two neighbors. It's a bigger story, about power, perception, and who gets to feel at home. Andre's proposal in that binder would have changed a lot of things, including how community complaints are handled and who's held accountable when calls to the police are made without real cause. Ironically, today's 911 call would fall directly under the new policy draft. Inside, Andre's phone buzzes with a text from another board member. It reads, "Saw the video? Want to talk?" Outside, Linda finally lowers her phone. But the cameras around her are still rolling, and the internet never forgets. And that binder isn't the only box Andre brought with him. The sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the driveway as more neighbors start to gather, drawn by flashing lights and the hum of curiosity. Some pretend they're just out for a walk, but their eyes keep drifting back to Andre, to the cops, to Linda. Now standing a little farther away, arms crossed but no longer in charge. The tension is thick. No one knows what's coming next, but everyone can feel something shifting. The officers are still holding Andre's binder, flipping pages and making quiet comments. One of them gestures toward Linda, but she won't look up. Her phone is still in her hand, but the screen's gone black. No more recording. Just silence. One neighbor finally speaks. "Is that the new guy from the board?" It spreads fast, people murmuring about Andre's name from the last HOA email. Some hadn't noticed, others had ignored it. Now it's unavoidable. They're not looking at an outsider anymore. They're looking at one of the people in charge. Then another voice, sharper. "Wait, is that the same woman who called the cops? On the Johnson kids last summer?" Someone else nods. Someone else has a screenshot. Suddenly, the spotlight shifts. Linda's once powerful glare isn't doing much now. Her authority, built over years of complaints and warnings, starts to crack, and Andre hasn't even said a word. He doesn't have to. His calm is louder than her accusations ever were. But even with the officers easing up, Andre knows this moment isn't just about this one day. It's about a pattern. And this neighborhood, with its strict HOA rules and picture-perfect lawns, is starting to look a lot less perfect under pressure. The officer sets the binder down gently on the hood of the patrol car, then turns toward Linda. His expression is unreadable, but his tone is firm. "We need to ask you a few questions now." That's when it shifts, when the one who called the shots suddenly becomes the one answering them. "And Andre?" He walks back to his porch, reaches into another box, and pulls out something else. But it's what's inside this box that no one saw coming. Andre carefully places the binder aside and reaches into the second box, a plain, unmarked one that had been sitting quietly on the porch the entire time. He lifts out a sleek black case with a keypad lock. It looks official, heavy. The murmurs grow louder. Even the officers pause. Linda stares, suddenly more curious than defensive, her eyes narrowing as if trying to calculate what could possibly be inside. Andre doesn't speak. He simply enters a short code, pops the lid, and turns the case toward the officers. Inside, layered in foam, are multiple sealed envelopes, all labeled with HOA property records, resident reports, and, at the very bottom, an unfiled incident report dated just 2 months ago. It's stamped confidential. One of the officers steps closer, glancing down, then back at Andre. "Where did you get these?" Andre's answer is calm. "From the HOA president. He asked me to review them as part of an internal audit." He pauses. "There's been patterns. A lot of them." That word, patterns, hangs in the air. Turns out, this wasn't just a move-in day. Andre wasn't just joining the neighborhood. He was walking into the center of something bigger. An ongoing HOA controversy tied to selective enforcement, ignored complaints, and subtle but consistent racial bias. What Linda triggered wasn't just a false 911 call. She cracked open the very thing Andre had come to uncover. And now, with the evidence visible to everyone, residents, officers, phones still recording, the entire neighborhood realizes this isn't going away quietly. One officer gently closes the black case. The other turns toward Linda, who suddenly seems smaller under the weight of what's been revealed. Her voice is barely a whisper now. "I didn't know." Andre looks at her, not angry, not smug, just steady. "You didn't ask." Then, just as the tension feels like it might finally break, someone else steps forward. A neighbor, nervous, holding their phone. "I think you should see this video from last week," they say. The crowd grows quiet as the neighbor presses play on their phone. The video starts shaky, taken from a window across the street, but the voice is unmistakable. It's Linda. She's on another call with 911, describing a strange man walking a dog near the park. But the man in the video? It's Mr. Reynolds, a retired teacher who's lived in Maple Grove Estates for over 20 years. He's walking his golden retriever, wearing a school sweatshirt with his name printed across the back. Gasps ripple through the crowd. A few heads turn toward Mr. Reynolds, who stands near the curb, arms folded, eyes locked on Linda. His expression says everything. He didn't want to make a scene, but now the truth is louder than any excuse. Linda's mouth opens, then closes again. She's frozen. The officers exchange another glance, and one of them takes a step toward her. "Ma'am, we need to talk privately," he says, gesturing toward the patrol car. Her feet don't move at first. She glances around, hoping for support. But the neighbors who used to smile and wave now look away. Andre watches it all unfold, standing firm, but silent. He didn't raise his voice once. He didn't have to. Then comes the final twist. Just as the officer escorts Linda away, the HOA president pulls up in a silver SUV. He steps out fast, waving a folder. "Andre," he says, catching his breath, "you need to see this. There's something we missed." Inside the folder is an old complaint, filed 3 years ago by Linda herself. But the name on it isn't Andre or Mr. Reynolds. It's someone from her own family. A relative she secretly had removed from the neighborhood through a quiet policy loophole. One that Andre's new proposal would have closed for good. Everyone thought she was just targeting others. But now it's clear. She was hiding something the entire time. Andre exhales, gripping the folder. The story isn't just about one false call or one bad neighbor. It's about control, fear, and what happens when a system is used to push people out, even your own. And Maple Grove? It'll never be the same again. In the days that followed, Maple Grove Estates felt different. The incident spread quickly, first through the neighborhood group chats, then across social media, and eventually into local news. The video of Andre's calm response and Linda's false call became a talking point across town. But beyond the headlines, real change started to take root. The HOA board held an emergency meeting, and this time, everyone showed up. Neighbors who had never spoken to each other were suddenly sitting side by side, listening to Andre present his reform proposal, now backed not just by documents, but by lived experience. The new policies passed with overwhelming support, including stricter rules against false emergency calls, mandatory bias training for HOA board members, and a formal grievance process to protect residents from unfair targeting. Linda quietly stepped down from her committee roles and, for a while, kept to herself. She didn't apologize publicly, but her absence from meetings spoke louder than words. Mr. Reynolds received an official apology from the board, and the neighbor who shared. The second video became a new volunteer for the community welcome team, helping ensure newcomers feel safe and seen. Andre? He kept unpacking, slowly, steadily, box by box. People stopped by with baked goods, tools, even offers to help with his backyard. Some came just to say thanks. What began as a hostile welcome turned into something deeper, a conversation this neighborhood had avoided for too long. The truth is, Andre didn't move in to make headlines. He came to build a home. But sometimes standing your ground, quietly, clearly, is enough to shift an entire neighborhood. And in the end, the real box that changed everything wasn't sealed with tape. It was the one full of truth, opened at just the right time.